The automotive designs of 1965 strive for innovation, but not all cars from this year hit the mark. While some vehicles became timeless classics, others stood out for their awkward proportions, impractical features, or uninspired styling. Here are 9 American cars from 1965 whose body designs left much to be desired, showcasing the missteps that occur when creativity overshoots functionality or aesthetic appeal.
Dear viewer, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support.
Number 9, 1965 Ford Thunderbird Landau, a car that exemplifies the delicate balance between luxury and sportiness. And what happens when that balance tips too far in the wrong direction? The Thunderbird Landau aimed to blend the Thunderbird's well-established performance pedigree with a luxurious, upscale design. However, its design choices, such as the vinyl roof and excessive chrome trim, ultimately undermined the sporty identity that had been a cornerstone of the Thunderbird name. To understand the 1965 Thunderbird Landau, we must first consider the evolution of the Thunderbird itself. Introduced in 1955, the Thunderbird began as a 2-seater personal luxury car with a focus on sporty performance and sleek design. Over time, Ford expanded the Thunderbird's appeal, transitioning it into a larger, more luxurious vehicle while attempting to retain its sporty image. By 1965, the Thunderbird had become a symbol of American luxury, with features such as sequential turn signals, wraparound rear taillights, and upscale interior appointments. The Landau trim, introduced as an even more luxurious variant, came with features like a vinyl roof and distinctive S-shaped Landau bars. Unfortunately, these additions clashed with the Thunderbird's sporty origins, creating a design that felt overdone and at odds with its intended identity. One of the most notable features of the Thunderbird Landau was its vinyl roof, a design element meant to evoke exclusivity and sophistication. However, instead of enhancing the car's appeal, the vinyl roof gave it a bloated and overly formal appearance. The heavy-looking roofline interrupted the sleekness of the Thunderbird's silhouette, making the car appear top-heavy. While the vinyl roof was a popular trend in luxury cars of the era, its application on the Thunderbird Landau felt out of place, detracting from the sporty essence that buyers had come to associate with the Thunderbird name. Another significant issue with the Landau was the overuse of chrome trim. From the grille to the window surrounds and the Landau bars on the C-pillars, chrome was applied liberally, creating a sense of visual clutter. While chrome detailing can add elegance when used sparingly, the sheer amount of it on the Thunderbird Landau bordered on garish. Rather than conveying refinement, the chrome accents made the car feel flashy and ostentatious, alienating buyers who appreciated the Thunderbird for its understated elegance. The 1965 Thunderbird was already a large car, but the Landau trim exaggerated its proportions in a way that made it feel bulky and cumbersome. The thick roof pillars and heavy vinyl-covered roof added visual weight, while the excessive chrome failed to provide the contrast needed to balance the design. The result was a car that lacked the taut, athletic lines typically associated with sporty vehicles. Instead of looking nimble and agile, the Thunderbird Landau appeared sluggish and overburdened by its own design. The 1965 Thunderbird Landau was intended to cater to buyers seeking a luxurious personal coupe, but its design missteps limited its appeal. While it remained popular among a niche audience, it struggled to capture the broader market of drivers who wanted a car that balanced style, performance, and sophistication. Competitors like the Buick Riviera and Pontiac Grand Prix offered more cohesive designs that successfully integrated sportiness with luxury. These cars maintained cleaner lines and avoided the excessive ornamentation that plagued the Thunderbird Landau, allowing them to better resonate with buyers. The thick roof pillars and vinyl covering of the Landau trim reduced rear visibility, a practical drawback that frustrated drivers. While the Thunderbird Landau may have looked imposing, it sacrificed functionality for the sake of design, a trade-off that alienated some buyers. The additional trim elements, particularly the vinyl roof, added weight to an already heavy car. This negatively impacted performance, making the Thunderbird Landau less agile and responsive compared to its competitors. Perhaps the biggest issue with the Thunderbird Landau was its identity crisis. By trying to be both a luxury car and a sporty coupe, it ended up doing neither particularly well. Buyers seeking a true luxury vehicle often gravitated toward Cadillac or Lincoln, while those looking for a sporty coupe turned to models like the Chevrolet Corvette or the Pontiac GTO. In conclusion, the 1965 Ford Thunderbird Landau exemplifies the risks of over-designing a vehicle in an attempt to cater to multiple markets. Its vinyl roof, excessive chrome, and bulky proportions detracted from the sleek, sporty image that had made the Thunderbird a success in earlier years. While the Thunderbird Landau still holds a place in automotive history, it serves as a reminder that sometimes less is more when it comes to design. Number 8, 1965 Chrysler Newport Sedan. While the Newport was a reliable and sturdy full-size car, its uninspiring, boxy design failed to capture the elegance and style that buyers expected from a mid-1960s vehicle. Chrysler's conservative approach resulted in a car that looked more utilitarian than luxurious, a missed opportunity in a competitive market. By the mid-1960s, Chrysler was aiming to position the Newport as an entry-level full-size sedan within its lineup. The Newport served as a bridge between the more affordable Dodge models and Chrysler's premium New Yorker. However, in a decade dominated by bold, sleek, and innovative designs, the Newport's conservative styling seemed like a relic of an earlier era. Full-size cars from competitors like General Motors and Ford were embracing dynamic styling cues such as sharp lines, sculpted panels, and distinctive grilles. Chrysler, on the other hand, took a cautious approach, prioritizing practicality and durability over visual appeal. While this strategy may have appealed to a segment of buyers, it left the Newport lagging behind in a market where style often trumps substance. One of the Newport's most glaring shortcomings was its boxy utilitarian shape. The large flat panels on the sides of the car lacked any form of sculpting or character lines, giving the Newport a monotonous and uninspired look. The roofline was tall and upright, contributing to the car's awkward proportions. This design choice emphasized interior space, but came at the cost of exterior aesthetics. The Newport's silhouette was more reminiscent of a functional work vehicle than a stylish family sedan. The grille of the 1965 Newport was another weak point. Compared to the bold and intricate grilles seen on cars like the Ford Galaxy or the Chevrolet Impala, the Newport's grille felt undersized and plain. The horizontal bars lacked depth or visual interest, making the front end appear underwhelming and mismatched with the car's large body. In an era when grilles often served as a car's signature feature, the Newport's grille failed to leave an impression. The overall design of the Newport seemed to lack cohesion. The large expanse of flat surfaces on the body didn't harmonize with the understated grille or the simple, round taillights. The design lacked the flair and attention to detail that buyers were coming to expect from full-size sedans in the mid-1960s. It's important to note that the 1965 Newport wasn't without its merits. Chrysler's engineering expertise ensured that the Newport was a durable and reliable car. Its spacious interior made it practical for families, and its robust V8 engine delivered adequate performance for highway cruising. However, these practical strengths couldn't compensate for the Newport's visual shortcomings. In a market increasingly driven by style and status, the Newport's lack of curb appeal meant it often went unnoticed on dealer lots. The 1965 Newport faced stiff competition from more stylish offerings like the Chevrolet Impala, Ford Galaxy, and Pontiac Bonneville. These cars not only delivered comparable performance, but also featured eye-catching designs that drew buyers into showrooms. While the Newport did find a niche among buyers who prioritized function over form, it struggled to capture the aspirational market that Chrysler needed to grow its brand. The Newport's conservative design also reinforced a perception that Chrysler was out of touch with contemporary styling trends, a reputation that would take years to overcome. The 1965 Chrysler Newport sedan serves as a reminder that even practical cars need a touch of flair to succeed in a competitive market. Design is more than just aesthetics. It's about creating an emotional connection with the buyer. The Newport's boxy, uninspired design lacked the personality needed to stand out in a crowded field. While durability and practicality are important attributes, they aren't enough to make a car desirable. Automakers must strike a balance between form and function, ensuring that their vehicles not only perform well, but also captivate the imagination of potential buyers. In conclusion, the 1965 Chrysler Newport sedan was a solid and dependable car, but its uninspiring, boxy design prevented it from achieving true success in the marketplace. Its large flat panels and plain grille made it look more utilitarian than stylish, leaving it overshadowed by more dynamic competitors. The Newport is a case study in the importance of design as a differentiator in the automotive industry. By prioritizing practicality over visual appeal, Chrysler missed an opportunity to create a car that resonated with buyers on an emotional level. Number 7, 1965 Mercury Montclair Sedan, a car that aimed to blend luxury and performance, but fell short due to its awkward design choices. While Mercury intended the Montclair to appeal to buyers seeking an upscale alternative to mainstream sedans, its heavy-handed chrome accents and tall, ungainly stance undermined the elegance it aimed to project. In the 1960s, Mercury was positioned as Ford Motor Company's mid-tier brand, sitting between the more affordable Ford models and the high-end Lincolns. The Montclair nameplate, originally introduced in the mid-1950s, represented Mercury's attempt to offer a premium car without venturing into the luxury price bracket. By 1965, the American car market was undergoing a shift. Buyers demanded vehicles that combined stylish designs with luxurious amenities, and competition in the mid-tier market was fierce. Mercury sought to position the Montclair as a sophisticated option, but the execution failed to deliver the refinement necessary to stand out. One of the most glaring issues with the Montclair was its overuse of chrome. While chrome trim was a popular design element in the 1960s, Mercury went overboard. The Montclair's grille, side moldings, and window frames were all heavily adorned, creating a visual overload. Instead of enhancing the car's elegance, the excessive chrome made it look ostentatious and cluttered. Competing sedans like the Pontiac Bonneville and Chevrolet Impala used chrome more judiciously, striking a balance between luxury and restraint. The Montclair's proportions were another major drawback. Its tall stance gave the car an upright, almost boxy appearance, which clashed with the flowing lines and lower profiles that defined elegant sedans of the era. The height of the Montclair's roofline emphasized practicality over style, but it came at the cost of visual appeal. The car lacked the sleek, elongated profile that buyers associated with luxury. Instead, it appeared utilitarian and bulky, more suited to a lower-tier family car than an upscale sedan. The Montclair's side profile was dominated by flat panels and minimal sculpting, with little to break up the monotony of its design. The slab-sided appearance further emphasized its boxy proportions, making the car feel larger and less dynamic than it actually was. Additionally, the wheel arches were relatively small compared to the car's overall size, which only added to its awkward, top-heavy look. It's important to acknowledge that the Montclair wasn't without its merits. Mercury equipped it with a range of powerful V8 engines, offering competitive performance for its class. The interior was spacious and well-appointed, with features like padded dashboards and optional air conditioning, making it a comfortable choice for families. However, these practical strengths couldn't compensate for the Montclair's lack of visual appeal. In the mid-1960s, design was a key differentiator in the automotive market, and buyers expected cars to make a statement. Unfortunately, the Montclair's design spoke volumes about its inability to achieve elegance. The Montclair struggled to compete against rivals like the Buick LeSabre and Oldsmobile 88, both of which offered more cohesive designs. Mercury's attempts to make the Montclair look luxurious fell flat, as buyers saw it as a middling effort that neither excelled in style nor value. The heavy use of chrome and the awkward stance may have appealed to a niche audience, but it didn't resonate with the broader market. As a result, the Montclair failed to establish a strong identity within Mercury's lineup, leading to its discontinuation just a few years later. The 1965 Mercury Montclair sedan serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of balance in design. Luxury doesn't mean adding more chrome, more height, more bulk. Instead, true luxury is about refinement, restraint, and attention to proportion. The Montclair's over-the-top chrome accents and awkward stance show that excess can undermine a car's intended image. Automakers must carefully consider how each design element contributes to the overall aesthetic and ensure that the car's proportions align with its goals. In conclusion, the 1965 Mercury Montclair sedan was a vehicle that aimed for luxury but missed the mark. Its heavy-handed chrome accents and tall, boxy stance made it look awkward rather than elegant, while it offered solid performance in a comfortable interior. These strengths were overshadowed by a design that failed to resonate with buyers. The Montclair's shortcomings remind us that successful automotive design is as much about restraint and proportion as it is about features and performance. By learning from examples like the Montclair, we can better appreciate the artistry and precision required to create a truly great car. Number 6, 1965 Ford Falcon Ranchero, a vehicle that sought to blend the utility of a pickup truck with the comfort and style of a passenger car. Unfortunately, the result was a design that felt awkward and mismatched, leaving it as a perplexing chapter in Ford's otherwise successful history of innovation. The concept of a car-based pickup wasn't new in the 1960s. Ford had introduced the original Ranchero in 1957, positioning it as a versatile vehicle that could transition seamlessly between work and leisure. By the 1960s, the Ranchero was built on the compact Falcon platform, reflecting a shift towards smaller, more economical vehicles. This was an era when practicality and affordability were prized, and the Ranchero attempted to cater to these trends. However, the 1965 model faced stiff competition from Chevrolet's El Camino, and a market that increasingly demanded vehicles with more cohesive styling and better defined roles. The most glaring issue with the 1965 Falcon Ranchero was its mismatched proportions. The vehicle combined the front end of a compact car with a long, flat pickup bed. While the idea was practical, the execution left much to be desired. The small cabin appeared disproportionately narrow and short compared to the bed, creating an unbalanced silhouette. The visual disconnect between the two sections made the Ranchero look as though it had been hastily pieced together rather than thoughtfully designed. One of the key principles of automotive design is ensuring that all elements flow seamlessly into one another. The 1965 Ranchero failed in this regard. The transition from the Falcon's car-like front end to the utilitarian bed was abrupt, with no effort to visually integrate the two sections. Unlike Chevrolet's El Camino, which managed to achieve a more cohesive look by sharing design cues between the cab and bed, the Ranchero felt disjointed. The squared-off edges and flat surfaces of the bed clashed with the softer, rounded lines of the Falcon's front. Another issue was the Ranchero's overly simplistic and utilitarian design. While practicality was important, the lack of styling flair left the Ranchero looking plain and uninspired. The flat bed and basic tailgate design did little to enhance its visual appeal, making it resemble a bare-bones work vehicle rather than a stylish crossover. To be fair, the 1965 Ranchero did offer some practical advantages. Its compact size made it easier to maneuver than a full-size pickup, and it provided enough payload capacity for light-duty tasks. Additionally, it was economical to own and operate, thanks to the Falcon's efficient engines. However, these strengths couldn't compensate for its uninspired design. Buyers in the 1960s wanted vehicles that were both functional and visually appealing, and the Ranchero fell short on the latter front. The Ranchero struggled to stand out in a crowded market. Chevrolet's El Camino, which shared styling elements with the mid-size Chevel, offered a more polished and visually cohesive alternative. In contrast, the Ranchero's awkward design and lack of refinement made it less appealing to buyers. Ford's decision to base the Ranchero on the Falcon platform may have been economical, but it also limited its appeal. By 1965, the compact Falcon design felt dated, and its use as the foundation for the Ranchero only highlighted its shortcomings. The 1965 Ford Falcon Ranchero teaches us several important lessons about automotive design. Combining elements from different vehicle types requires careful integration. A successful design must ensure that all parts of the vehicle work together visually and functionally. While utility is important, buyers also want a vehicle that looks good. Overemphasizing function at the expense of form can alienate potential customers. By 1965, the market for car-based pickups demanded more than just practicality. Competitors like the El Camino proved that buyers expected these vehicles to be stylish as well as functional. In conclusion, the 1965 Ford Falcon Ranchero was an ambitious attempt to blend the practicality of a pickup with the comfort of a passenger car. Unfortunately, its mismatched design, awkward proportions, and lack of styling cohesion prevented it from achieving its full potential. The Ranchero serves as a reminder that innovation alone isn't enough. Successful vehicles must also resonate with buyers through thoughtful design and careful attention to detail. As we analyze more examples from automotive history, we can continue to learn from both the successes and the missteps that have shaped the industry. Number 5, 1965, Chevrolet Chevel 300 four-door sedan. A car that should have embodied the promise of the midsize segment, but instead fell flat with a design stripped of all visual interest. Let's explore how this economy-focused vehicle missed the mark in both aesthetics and market appeal. By the mid-1960s, the American automotive market was booming with innovation and design experimentation. The Chevel line, introduced in 1964, was Chevrolet's entry into the emerging midsize category, designed to fill the gap between compact cars like the Chevy 2 and full-size offerings like the Impala. The Chevel was positioned as a versatile, family-friendly vehicle that could also offer performance and style. However, the Chevel 300, as the base trim level, seemed to completely abandon these aspirations. Instead of embodying the midsize market's potential for balance between utility and flair, it delivered a no-frills, economy car look that disappointed buyers seeking something more. The most striking design flaw of the Chevel 300 sedan was its disproportionately tall roofline. While this may have been intended to provide headroom for passengers, the exaggerated height made the car look awkward and ungainly. Instead of achieving a sleek, streamlined profile, the car appeared top-heavy, undermining its potential as a stylish family sedan. The body of the Chevel 300 was a prime example of uninspired design. Its flat, unadorned sides lacked any sculpting or character lines, leaving it devoid of visual interest. While simplicity can be elegant when executed well, in this case, it came across as lazy and utilitarian. The car looked more like a generic fleet vehicle than a proud member of Chevrolet's midsize lineup. The Chevel 300's design emphasized its status as a base model, but not in a good way. Unlike higher trims in the Chevel range, which featured tasteful chrome accents and more refined details, the 300 was stripped of almost all embellishments. Its basic grille, sparse trim, and lack of distinguishing features made it look cheap, hardly the impression Chevrolet wanted to make in a competitive midsize market. It's important to acknowledge that the Chevel 300 was designed with practicality in mind. Its interior offered ample space for a family, and its affordability made it accessible to budget-conscious buyers. Additionally, the 300 was mechanically sound, benefiting from Chevrolet's reliable lineup of engines. However, these practical merits couldn't compensate for the car's lack of appeal. In the 1960s, even economy-focused cars needed to look good to attract buyers. The Chevel 300's bland, uninspired design alienated customers who wanted a mid-size car that felt aspirational rather than merely functional. The Chevel 300 struggled to stand out in a crowded market. Competitors like the Ford Fairlane and Plymouth Belvedere offered more appealing base models, with designs that managed to balance practicality with a touch of style. Buyers who wanted a Chevel often opted for higher trims, like the Malibu, which offered more features and a significantly better appearance. By prioritizing cost-cutting over design, Chevrolet missed an opportunity to make the Chevel 300 a standout in the midsize segment. Instead, it became a forgettable entry, overshadowed by both its competitors and its own siblings in the Chevel lineup. The 1965 Chevrolet Chevel 300 four-door sedan serves as a cautionary tale about the risks of neglecting design in favor of practicality. Here are some key takeaways. Even entry-level trims need to offer something visually appealing. Buyers may be shopping on a budget, but they still want a car they can take pride in. The tall roofline of the Chevel 300 disrupted its overall balance, proving that practical features like headroom must be carefully integrated into a cohesive design. Minimalist designs can be beautiful when executed with care, but the Chevel 300's slab-sided body lacked the subtle details that could have elevated it. In conclusion, the 1965 Chevrolet Chevel 300 four-door sedan represents a missed opportunity in mid-size automotive design. While it succeeded as a practical, affordable vehicle, its uninspired aesthetic failed to resonate with buyers who expected more from the burgeoning mid-size segment. This car reminds us that even practical vehicles deserve thoughtful design. By neglecting this aspect, Chevrolet left the Chevel 300 to fade into obscurity, serving as a reminder of the importance of balancing utility with visual appeal. Number 4, 1965 Dodge Monaco Sedan, a car that represents a design paradox. Dodge attempted to elevate this full-size sedan into the premium category, but the execution fell short, resulting in a vehicle that combined plain, uninspired surfaces with overly ornate trim. Let's explore how this design mismatch undermined the Monaco's aspirations. The mid-1960s was a transformative time for the American auto industry. Consumers were becoming more design-conscious, and automakers had to balance practicality with aesthetics. Dodge introduced the Monaco in 1965 as part of its full-size lineup, aiming to provide a touch of luxury to complement its practical functionality. However, Dodge's ambitions for the Monaco sedan were derailed by a design that struggled to communicate elegance. Rather than creating a cohesive and upscale appearance, the Monaco looked like a patchwork of conflicting elements that lacked harmony. One of the most glaring issues with the Monaco sedan was its excessive reliance on flat, unadorned panels. While large surfaces can exude confidence when sculpted properly, the Monaco's bodywork came across as lazy and uninspired. Its slab-sided design gave it a bulky appearance, which clashed with its intended upscale image. These plain surfaces lacked any contouring or character lines to break up the monotony, making the car look more utilitarian than premium. Competitors like the Buick Electra and Mercury Montclair showcased far more thoughtful body sculpting, leaving the Monaco lagging behind in visual appeal. In an attempt to inject some luxury into the design, Dodge added ornate chrome trim and other decorative elements. Unfortunately, these embellishments didn't integrate well with the rest of the car's styling. The trim felt excessive and out of place, particularly when contrasted with the flat, featureless body panels. The grille was a prime example of this misstep. It featured an overly intricate design that looked flashy rather than sophisticated. Instead of elevating the car's appearance, it came across as an afterthought, a misguided attempt to mask the lack of design depth. Another issue with the Monaco sedan was its awkward proportions. The car's long, flat roofline and upright stance gave it a top-heavy appearance, which further detracted from its sense of elegance. Additionally, the rear overhang appeared disproportionately large, creating a visual imbalance that made the car feel bloated. To its credit, the 1965 Dodge Monaco sedan did have some redeeming qualities. It was spacious, with a comfortable interior that offered plenty of room for passengers. Dodge also equipped the Monaco with a range of powerful V8 engine options, ensuring it performed well on the road. These strengths, however, couldn't overcome the Monaco's aesthetic shortcomings. Buyers in this segment expected more than just functionality. They wanted a car that looked as premium as it felt. Unfortunately, the Monaco failed to deliver on that front. The 1965 Dodge Monaco sedan faced stiff competition from other full-size sedans in its price range. Models like the Chevrolet Impala and Ford Galaxy struck a better balance between style and substance, offering designs that felt modern and cohesive. While Dodge hoped the Monaco's ornate trim would help it stand out, it only highlighted the car's underlying design flaws. As a result, the sedan struggled to gain traction in the market, with buyers gravitating toward competitors that offered a more polished package. The 1965 Dodge Monaco sedan serves as a case study in the importance of cohesive design. Here are some key takeaways. A successful design requires harmony between all elements. The Monaco's combination of plain surfaces and ornate trim created a visual disconnect that undermined its upscale intentions. Awkward proportions can ruin a car's overall aesthetic, no matter how much chrome, or decoration is added. Designers must ensure that all aspects of a vehicle's shape work together. True luxury is often conveyed through understated elegance rather than excessive embellishments. The Monaco's overuse of ornate trim only served to highlight its lack of refinement. In conclusion, the 1965 Dodge Monaco sedan was a car that aspired to be premium but fell short due to a lack of cohesive design. Its large plain surfaces clashed with its overly ornate trim, while its awkward proportions further detracted from its appeal. While it offered practical merits like space and performance, these strengths couldn't compensate for its aesthetic shortcomings. The Monaco sedan reminds us that true elegance requires more than just decorative flourishes. It demands a thoughtful, unified approach to design. Number 3, 1965 Studebaker Daytona Sedan, a car that epitomizes the struggles of a once pioneering automaker attempting to remain relevant in a rapidly evolving industry. Despite its name suggesting speed and excitement, the Daytona sedan's outdated design language, upright stance, and minimal body contours reflected Studebaker's waning influence and limited resources. By the mid-1960s, Studebaker was in survival mode. The company had once been an innovator in the automotive world, but financial challenges and increased competition had severely weakened its position. In 1963, Studebaker closed its South Bend, Indiana, factory and consolidated production in Canada. The 1965 Daytona sedan was part of Studebaker's final effort to market vehicles that could appeal to mainstream buyers. Unfortunately, it suffered from a lack of significant investment and innovation. This was a time when competitors like Ford, Chevrolet, and Plymouth were pushing boundaries with bold designs and new technologies. Studebaker, on the other hand, was reusing older platforms and designs that felt increasingly out of place. The Daytona sedan featured a tall, upright stance that gave it a dated appearance, while competitors were embracing lower, sleeker designs that emphasized modernity and speed. The Daytona clung to an outdated silhouette. This upright profile made the car look more like a relic from the late 1950s rather than a contemporary mid-1960s vehicle. The high roofline and boxy proportions may have offered decent headroom and practicality, but they did little to convey the excitement or sophistication that buyers expected from a car named Daytona. One of the most glaring issues with the Daytona sedan was its lack of sculpted bodywork. The car's flat sides and minimal contouring created a bland and utilitarian aesthetic. This approach might have been acceptable for an economy car, but for a vehicle positioned as a sporty offering, it was a major misstep. Competitors like the Ford Falcon and Chevrolet Chevel had begun incorporating character lines and dynamic shapes to make even their base models visually engaging. In contrast, the Daytona sedan's design seemed like an afterthought, with little effort to make it stand out. Studebaker was known for its unique styling in previous decades, with models like the bullet-nosed Commander and the sleek Avanti. However, the Daytona sedan lacked any defining features that could set it apart. Its grille, trim, and overall shape were generic, failing to create a memorable identity for the car. This lack of visual distinction hurt the Daytona in a competitive market where styling played a crucial role in attracting buyers. While the 1965 Studebaker Daytona sedan struggled in the design department, it wasn't entirely without merit. The car was reasonably priced and offered a spacious interior, making it a practical choice for budget-conscious families. Under the hood, it featured a choice of inline-6 and V8 engines, which provided decent performance for the time. However, these mechanical offerings couldn't compensate for the car's dated appearance, especially when competitors offered similar features in more visually appealing packages. The Daytona sedan's outdated design and lack of innovation were major factors in its poor market performance. By 1965, Studebaker was losing ground to larger automakers that could afford to invest in cutting-edge designs and advanced engineering. Buyers had little incentive to choose the Daytona over more modern-looking and better-equipped alternatives. The car's lackluster sales were a clear indication that Studebaker's approach was no longer resonating with consumers. The 1965 Studebaker Daytona sedan offers several important lessons for automakers. Automotive design is an ever-evolving field, and staying relevant requires constant innovation. The Daytona's reliance on outdated styling alienated buyers who were looking for modern designs. A car needs a distinctive design to stand out in a crowded market. The Daytona's generic appearance failed to capture attention or create brand loyalty. While functionality is important, aesthetics play a crucial role in a car's appeal. The Daytona leaned too heavily on practicality, neglecting the emotional connection that good design can create. In conclusion, the 1965 Studebaker Daytona sedan was a product of a company on the brink of collapse, struggling to compete in a rapidly changing industry. Its upright stance, minimal body contours, and lack of distinctive features made it a forgettable entry in a market that demanded boldness and innovation. The Daytona serves as a reminder that even the most storied automakers can falter when they fail to adapt to changing times. Studebaker's struggles with the Daytona sedan were a precursor to its eventual exit from the automotive market in 1966. Number 2, 1965 Chrysler New Yorker sedan. A car that aimed to exemplify American luxury, but instead became an example of excess. While the New Yorker offered a plush interior and advanced features, its oversized body and heavy-handed use of chrome trim gave it a gaudy and overly ostentatious appearance. The Chrysler New Yorker was a flagship model in Chrysler's lineup, known for catering to affluent buyers who valued comfort and prestige. By 1965, the automotive industry was embracing a shift towards sleeker, more refined designs. Cadillac and Lincoln were leading the charge with cars that balanced elegance with modern simplicity, and even Chrysler's competitors in the mid-luxury segment were moving in a similar direction. However, the 1965 New Yorker seemed stuck in an earlier era, clinging to the oversized and overly adorned styling trends that were starting to fall out of favor. The most immediate and striking feature of the 1965 New Yorker sedan was its sheer size. While luxury cars are often large to provide spacious interiors, the New Yorker's proportions felt excessive. The car's long, flat hood and massive rear deck created an unbalanced appearance that made the sedan look more like a stretched limousine than a sophisticated full-size car. Its bulkiness also detracted from its road presence, making it seem cumbersome rather than commanding. Chrome can add an element of sophistication when used sparingly, but Chrysler went overboard with the New Yorker. The car's grille, bumpers, window surrounds, and side trim were all heavily adorned with chrome, creating a look that bordered on garish. The excessive shine overwhelmed the car's basic lines, drawing attention to its bulk rather than its finer details. In contrast, competitors like Cadillac and Lincoln were beginning to use chrome more judiciously, favoring clean and minimalist designs that exuded modern luxury. Another major issue with the New Yorker's design was the lack of cohesion in its styling elements. The oversized grille and headlights didn't flow naturally into the rest of the body, and the rear end, with its large taillights and chrome accents, felt like a separate design entirely. The result was a car that looked as if it had been pieced together rather than designed with a unified vision. Despite its design flaws, the 1965 Chrysler New Yorker sedan wasn't without its strengths. It featured a comfortable, well-appointed interior with high-quality materials and advanced features for the time, such as power windows, air conditioning, and optional bucket seats with a center console. Under the hood, the New Yorker boasted a 413 cubic inch V8 engine, delivering robust performance and smooth acceleration. The car also offered a cushy ride, thanks to Chrysler's torsion bar suspension system. However, these merits couldn't fully compensate for the car's awkward and excessive exterior design. The 1965 New Yorker sedan faced mixed reviews from buyers and critics. While it appealed to those who equated size and chrome with luxury, it struggled to compete with more refined offerings from Cadillac, Lincoln, and even Buick. The car's outdated styling made it less desirable in a market that was moving toward modern, understated elegance. This disconnect between what the New Yorker offered and what buyers wanted ultimately hurt its appeal. The 1965 Chrysler New Yorker sedan offers several key lessons for automakers. True luxury is about refinement and restraint, not excess. The New Yorker's oversized body and heavy use of chrome detracted from its sophistication. A successful design requires cohesion between all elements. The New Yorker's mismatched front and rear ends created a disjointed appearance that lacked harmony. Automakers must adapt to changing tastes. The New Yorker's reliance on outdated styling tropes made it seem out of step with the more modern designs of its competitors. In conclusion, the 1965 Chrysler New Yorker sedan stands as an example of how excess can undermine luxury. While it delivered on comfort and performance, its oversized body and overuse of chrome made it look gaudy and out of touch with evolving design trends. The New Yorker's struggles in 1965 highlight the importance of balancing tradition with innovation in the pursuit of automotive excellence. By clinging to outdated notions of luxury, Chrysler missed an opportunity to position the New Yorker as a forward-thinking flagship model. Number 1, 1965 Dodge Dart GT Convertible, a vehicle that aimed to combine the sporty appeal of a convertible with the practicality of the compact Dart line. Unfortunately, while it had some merits, the Dart GT Convertible ultimately fell short of expectations due to its boxy design, which lacked the flowing lines and elegance that buyers typically sought in a convertible. The Dodge Dart was introduced in 1960 as a compact car, and by the mid-1960s, it was becoming increasingly popular among consumers looking for affordable yet stylish vehicles. The Dart GT was the sportier trim that aimed to attract buyers interested in a performance-oriented model. In 1965, Dodge attempted to capitalize on the growing convertible market by offering a Dart GT convertible. Convertibles were often associated with freedom and style, making them particularly appealing during the mid-1960s, when open-top driving was at its peak popularity. However, the design decisions made for the Dart GT convertible did not align with these ideals. One of the most glaring issues with the 1965 Dart GT convertible was its boxy body style. While the Dart was known for its practical, utilitarian design, that same practicality did not translate well into the convertible format. Unlike other convertibles that emphasize smooth, flowing lines and an elegant silhouette, the Dart GT retained much of its compact sedan's angularity. The car's sharp edges and flat surfaces made it appear more like a hardtop that had the roof removed, rather than a true convertible that exuded a sense of style and sophistication. Convertibles are often designed with a focus on aesthetics, as they are meant to showcase both the interior and exterior in a way that enhances the driving experience. Unfortunately, the Dart GT convertible failed to capture that sense of elegance. Its design lacked the refinement typically expected in a sporty convertible. The roofline, when the top was down, didn't blend seamlessly with the body. Instead, it appeared abrupt and unfinished. This lack of cohesion detracted from the overall visual appeal, making it less desirable compared to competitors that offered more graceful designs. Dodge had an opportunity to set the Dart GT convertible apart from its competitors, but they missed the mark. The Dart GT convertible could have embraced more stylish elements like a more contoured body, rounded edges, and a sleeker silhouette. Instead, it stuck to a design language that emphasized practicality over aesthetic appeal. This decision reflected a lack of vision in how convertibles should be designed, especially during a time when styling played a crucial role in consumer choices. The 1965 Dodge Dart GT convertible was met with a lukewarm reception from both critics and buyers. While it provided the benefit of open-air driving and was priced competitively, it did not capture the hearts of consumers in the way that other convertibles did. In an era where style was paramount, the Dart GT convertible's boxy shape and lack of elegance made it feel out of place. Buyers looking for a sporty and stylish convertible were more likely to gravitate toward models that offered a more appealing design, such as the Ford Mustang or the Chevrolet Camaro, both of which embraced more fluid and dynamic styling. The shortcomings of the 1965 Dart GT convertible provide valuable lessons for automotive design. Convertibles thrive on style and grace. A boxy design that prioritizes function over form can lead to a lack of consumer interest. Successful convertible designs often rely on flowing lines that create a sense of movement and elegance. The absence of these features can make a convertible look static and uninspired. Automakers should take advantage of every opportunity to innovate and enhance their designs. The Dart GT convertible could have benefited from a more daring approach to styling, embracing the free-spirited nature of convertibles. In conclusion, the 1965 Dodge Dart GT convertible stands as an example of how a car's design can impact its market appeal. While it provided the practicality and functionality expected from the Dart lineup, its boxy body and lack of flowing lines ultimately detracted from the convertible experience. As we look back on the Dart GT convertible, we are reminded of the importance of aesthetics in automotive design and how a car's appearance can influence consumer choices.